law cannot be violated.
Argumen nomor 2, hukum alam tidak mungkin dilanggar.
Therefore, he says, miracles don't happen.
Karena itu mujizat tidak terjadi.
But who says that God can't act upon or change natural law if he wants to?
Tapi siapa yang bisa berkata bahwa Tuhan tidak bisa bertindak atau merubah atau melanggar hukum alam kalau dia berkehendak?
Hume simply presupposes that a God couldn't do that.
Jadi Hume menganggap bahwa bahwa Tuhan tidak mungkin lakukan itu.
So this isn't an argument, he's just stating his opinion.
Jadi ini bukan sebuah argumentasi. Hume hanya mengemukakan pendapatnya saja.
And yet in the West today, some people say everybody knows miracles don't happen.
Dan sekarang di dunia barat semua orang ngomong bahwa semua orang tahu bahwa mujizat tidak mungkin terjadi.
You say, how do you know that?
Bagaimana kau tahu itu?
Well, everybody knows that.
Wah, semua orang juga tahu itu.
But if you get somebody who really knows the history behind what they believe,
kalau aja ada orang yang tahu sejarah bagaimana pandangan itu terjadi,
they say, well, Hume proved that it can't happen.
Wah, itu Hume setuju bahwa itu tidak mungkin terjadi.
But if you go back and look at what Hume proved,
kalau kita lihat apa yang dibuktikan oleh Hume,
all Hume proved was that in his opinion miracles can't happen.
Yang dibuktikan adalah cuma pendapatnya saja bahwa mujizat tidak bisa terjadi.
And Christians have been pointing this out ever since.
Dan orang Kristen
ever since Hume, Christians have been pointing out that Hume's argument is very weak.
Ya, jadi orang Kristen sejak saat itu sudah bisa menunjukkan bahwa ini argumen yang sangat lemah dari David Hume.
In fact, when they learned how to do mathematical approaches to logic, he admitted that he didn't have a response for them. When they learned how to do Bayes' theorem and Babbage and some others, but anyway, when they had a more sophisticated argument, sometimes he admitted he couldn't respond to them. Hume couldn't answer them.
Hume tidak bisa menjawab keberatan-keberatan itu.
Much of Hume's argument depends on miracles violating natural law.
Banyak dari argumen Hume yang bergantung kepada bahwa mujizat itu melanggar hukum alam.
But Hume's entire conception of natural law doesn't work in modern physics.
Tetapi konsepsi Hume tentang hukum alam itu bertentangan dengan fisika modern.
So even if you agreed with Hume's argument, you'd have to disagree with it because it doesn't work anymore.
Kalaupun kita setuju dengan pandangan Hume, kita harus tidak menyetujuinya karena itu tidak lagi berlaku.
Hume's idea of natural law was deterministic. It was that the universe was completely mechanistic and always worked a certain way.
Pandangan Hume akan hukum alam itu bersifat deterministik, bahwa seluruh alam semesta itu bekerja secara mekanistik.
He got that idea from Isaac Newton, and yet Isaac Newton believed in miracles.
Dia dapat ide itu dari Isaac Newton, tapi Isaac Newton sendiri percaya mujizat.
And Hume framed his argument partly against John Locke, who was an earlier Enlightenment empiricist. Empiricism being the idea of providing physical evidence. That's a long story. Anyway.
Ya, jadi Hume juga menguatkan pendapatnya sebagian untuk menentang John Locke yang menganut aliran empirisme. Sesuatu harus dibuktikan sebelum itu terjadi gitu.
The early Enlightenment scientific thinkers said that there were only laws in nature because God had made those laws.
Beberapa ilmuwan dari masa pencerahan seperti Isaac Newton percaya bahwa hukum di dalam alam itu ada karena Tuhanlah yang mengekspresikannya.
And that God was free to change those laws if he wanted to.
Tuhan bebas untuk merubah itu kalau dia mau.
Today, one example of a critic of Hume's argument.
Salah satu kritik terhadap argumentasi Hume di masa kini,
Sir John Polkinghorne was the former professor of mathematical physics at Cambridge.
Sir John Polkinghorne adalah profesor matematik dan fisika di Cambridge.
He was president of one of the colleges at Cambridge.
Dia salah satu presiden dari college-nya Cambridge.
He's also an Anglican priest.
Dia juga seorang pendeta Anglikan.
He said that God acts in a consistent way with what he does in nature.
Tuhan bekerja dengan konsisten terhadap apa yang Tuhan telah tetapkan di alam.
But that doesn't mean that God can't do something different when God wants to.
Tapi itu tidak berarti bahwa Tuhan tidak bisa bekerja berlainan sesuai dengan yang Dia kehendaki.
Hume's argument is supposedly inductive.
Argumentasi Hume itu harusnya bersifat induktif.
But in fact, it's a circular argument.
Tetapi sebenarnya itu sebuah argumen yang sirkuler, bukan induktif.
And this is the second part of Hume's argument.
Inilah bagian kedua dari argumentasinya Hume.
He says, uniform human experience shows us that miracles don't happen.
Jadi dia bilang bahwa pengalaman uniform dari manusia menunjukkan bahwa mujizat tidak terjadi.
So what happens when you have eyewitnesses who say, I saw a miracle?
Bagaimana kalau ada saksi mata yang bilang saya melihat mujizat terjadi?
Well, Hume says that you can't trust them
Hume akan bilang, kamu nggak bisa percaya orang itu.
because that contradicts uniform human experience.
Karena itu bertentangan dengan pengalaman uniform dari umat manusia.
So he defines universal human experience in such a way that he excludes any experiences that contradict it.
Jadi dia mendefinisikan pengalaman universal manusia yang mengeluarkan pengalaman orang-orang yang menolak anggapan dia.
That's like saying everybody knows that you can't have a microphone.
Itu sama seperti orang bilang bahwa semua orang tahu tidak semua orang bisa punya mikrofon.
You say that you saw a microphone?
Apakah sudah lihat mikrofon nggak?
Well, you can't be believed because everybody knows there's no such thing as a microphone. We can't believe you when you say that there's a microphone because everybody knows there's no such thing.
Kita nggak bisa tidak bisa mempercayai adanya mikrofon kalau ternyata mikrofonnya ada gitu. Is that what you say?
Did they understand? Did you
Yeah.
understand what I was saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Are we at the time for questions now? Okay. So I'll pick up with this in the next session, and we're going to do
Oke,
questions now.
kita akan masuk ke sesi tanya jawab.
First question. Are there other sources, perhaps from the first century Jews, for Jesus' miracles?
We don't have very many Jewish sources from first century.
Kita tidak punya banyak
Judea or
sumber
Galilee.
Yahudi dari abad pertama.
We have a first century writer in Egypt who wouldn't have known about Jesus.
Ada penulis abad pertama dari Mesir yang tidak tahu tentang Yesus.
And we have Josephus, who's a first century historian in Judea.
Kita juga punya Yosefus, sejarawan abad pertama dari Yudea.
We don't really have any other sources after Jesus in the first century from Judea and Galilee.
Kita tidak lagi punya sumber lainnya sesudah Yesus di abad pertama yang berasal dari Yudea dan Galilea.
So we can't have other sources reporting about Jesus because we simply don't have any other sources from that place.
Ya, jadi kita bisa melaporkan apa yang tentang Yesus dari sumber-sumber yang ada.
But of the sources we do have from Judea and Galilee, 100% affirm Jesus' miracles.
Dari sumber-sumber yang ada dari Yudea dan Galilea, 100% mengafirmasi mujizatnya Tuhan Yesus.
Well, then those sources that you say that you available in Judea, is
Sumber-sumber yang ada
that only
di
Bible
Yudea
or
itu?
is that other sources as well?
Apakah ada di dalam Alkitab atau ada di sumber yang lain juga?
Of course, Josephus isn't in the Bible. Now, we have the Dead Sea Scrolls, but most of them were before Jesus.
Yosefus tidak di dalam Alkitab ya, dia seorang sejarawan.
We also have some pseudepigraphic literature, the dates of which are debated.
Ada literatur pseudepigrafa di mana
So we don't know which of them are from the first century and which are later, but they don't deal with this topic.
Sumber-sumber tadi kita tidak tahu mana dari abad pertama atau abad lainnya, tetapi itu tidak berurusan dengan masalah ini.
With this topic meaning with miracles.
With miracles or with what's going on in that day. They're talking about either the past or predictions for the future.
Sumber-sumber tadi tidak ada yang berbicara tentang mujizat atau apa yang terjadi di masa itu, tapi berbicara tentang masa lalu dan prediksi masa depan.
Well then, to answer this question, the miracles of Jesus were only written by the disciples then, no other people.
Josephus talks about it also.
Jadi bukan sumber tentang kisah mujizat Yesus bukan hanya dari murid-murid, tapi juga dari Josephus, seorang sejarawan.
And the critics recognized the miracles too. They simply attributed them to sorcery.
Dan para pengkritik juga memastikan hal itu dan melihatnya sebagai penipuan.
And
Sorcery, sebagai sihir. Ya.
And it's true that most of the sources were Christian, but then again, if you really believe Jesus did these miracles, wouldn't you become a Christian if you weren't one already? Most people.
Memang betul sumber-sumber itu Kristen, tapi kalau kau orang Kristen, bukankah kau juga percaya akan Yesus? Sudah percaya Yesus gitu maksudnya.
Okay. We go to the next question. In the first session, it was explained that it was customary for biography writers to criticize on other writers' writings if they find discrepancies. Is that why we find 4 Gospels? Is that because some writers were disappointed by Mark's writings?
Ini perlu terjemahin dulu ya.
Go ahead.
I have to translate first
Okay,
the question. Di sesi pertama tadi dijelaskan bahwa sudah suatu kelaziman bahwa penulis biografi itu saling mengkritik penulis lainnya kalau mereka menemukan satu keanehan. Apakah itu sebabnya kita mempunyai 4 Injil? Karena penulis lain itu tidak setuju dengan apa yang ditulis oleh Markus.
You have a lot of figures in antiquity where you have multiple biographies of the person.
Banyak tokoh di dalam dunia kuno yang memiliki biografi yang banyak, multibiografi.
If people were interested in the person, they would write different biographies.
Kalau orang tertarik sama satu tokoh tertentu, dia akan menulis berbagai jenis biografi, banyak biografi.
But some scholars look at what Luke writes in Luke chapter 1.
Para ahli melihat apa yang Lukas tulis di pasal yang pertama.
In Luke 1:1, he says that many have undertaken to write an account about these things.
Ya, di Lukas 1 ayat 1. Banyak yang telah berupaya untuk menulis hal-hal ini.
But many have done so, but I'm going to write a more orderly account.
Banyak yang sudah melakukannya, tapi aku akan menyusun yang lebih teratur.
Some see that as a criticism of the earlier accounts.
Itu bisa beberapa orang lihat itu sebagai satu bentuk kritik terhadap kisah-kisah yang sebelumnya terjadi.
Not a criticism of their content, but a criticism of their arrangement.
Bukan kritik terhadap isinya, tetapi kritik terhadap bagaimana itu disusun.
If you read prefaces to ancient works, if you read ancient prefaces, ancient introductions to works.
Kalau kita lihat bagaimana pendahuluan dari naskah-naskah cerita-cerita kuno itu ditulis,
the writers sometimes would distance themselves from earlier writers on the same subject.
Penulis itu biasanya menjaga jarak terhadap penulis sebelumnya yang menulis hal yang sama.
Sometimes they would say, nobody else has ever written anything intelligent on this until my time.
Biasanya dia tulis, sebelum saya nggak ada yang nulis hal yang benar tentang ini.
You have writers who do things like that today too.
Sekarang banyak juga penulis yang seperti itu ya, nulis seperti itu di pembukaannya.
But then you had others who simply summarized that others had written before them.
Ada juga penulis yang mensummarikan apa yang telah ditulis oleh para penulis sebelumnya.
They weren't attacking the earlier works.
Mereka nggak menyerang karya sebelumnya.
They were supplementing them in a new way.
Mereka menambahkannya dengan cara yang baru.
And after reading the range of these of these works,
Dan setelah melihat
after I read all these ancient prefaces,
setelah saya lihat berbagai jenis pendahuluan di dokumen-dokumen kuno ini,
it seemed clear to me that Luke is not attacking the work of his
menurut
predecessors.
saya Lukas tidak menyerang karya-karya dari pendahulu sebelumnya.
He's simply supplementing them by writing it in a new way.
Lukas menambahkannya dengan menuliskannya dengan cara yang baru.
Yes, thank you, Professor Keener. The next question, this person noticed that you did not define the word miracle. What is miracle, and how do you differentiate between miracles of God and supernatural deeds by the demon or by the devil?
Apa itu mujizat dan bagaimana membedakan mujizat Tuhan dengan mujizat yang terjadi karena kuasa gelap?
Well, this is one reason why I thought that the book would not be as important in Indonesia as it is in the West.
Saya nggak menyangka bahwa
in the West, people don't believe in the supernatural. Some people don't believe in the supernatural.
di Barat beberapa orang tidak percaya hal supranatural.
Whereas in Indonesia, the bigger question is, which supernatural is it?
Tapi kalau di Indonesia bukannya itu, tapi mujizat yang seperti apa?
And so the book was more addressing the Western question.
Jadi buku saya ini lebih ditujukan kepada pertanyaan yang diajukan oleh orang-orang Barat.
Although it's relevant because it influences academia elsewhere.
Ya, itu juga mempengaruhi lingkungan akademis di banyak tempat.
But technically, only God's activity is really supernatural.
Secara teknis hanya aktivitas ilahilah yang bisa digolongkan sebagai supranatural.
Demons are created and therefore are part of nature.
Setan adalah ciptaan sehingga bagian dari alam.
But that's just using the traditional Western idea of what supernatural should be.
Itu saya dengan memakai bingkai Barat bahwa seperti apakah supranatural itu seharusnya.
But if we define it as superhuman activity,
Tapi kalau itu kita definisikan sebagai
then
aktivitas supramanusiawi,
then we can talk about divine activity and demonic activity.
maka kita bisa bedakan antara aktivitas ilahi dan aktivitas setan.
I'm planning to deal with this later in the theology section, toward the end.
Saya akan bahas ini di sesi ketika kita membahas teologi di sesi terakhir.
But just in case we fall behind and don't ever get to that point,
Ya, dibahas sekarang. Siapa tahu nanti nggak nyampe ke sana.
I should briefly say something about it now.
Jadi saya harus bilang sesuatu sekarang.
If it brings glory to Jesus as Lord,
Kalau itu membawa kemuliaan kepada Yesus sebagai Tuhan,
if the miracles are done in the name of Jesus,
kalau mujizat itu dilakukan di dalam nama Yesus,
then chances are it's from God.
maka kita dapat katakan itu berasal dari Tuhan.
And sometimes that will be true even if the person who works it is not from God.
Bahkan kita bisa bilang itu benar meskipun orang yang melakukannya bukan dari Tuhan.
For Jesus said, "Many will say to me in that day,
Karena Tuhan berkata banyak orang yang akan bilang di hari itu,
Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name,
Tuhan, Tuhan, bukankah kami bernubuat demi namamu?
and in your name cast out demons?"
Kami mengusir setan demi namamu.
And Jesus will say, "Depart from me.
Tuhan berkata, enyahlah dari hadapanku.
I never knew you, workers of iniquity."
Aku tidak pernah mengenal engkau pembuat kejahatan.
But there are also demonic miracles.
Tapi ada juga mujizat yang dari setan.
You think of Pharaoh's magicians in Exodus chapter 7.
Seperti ahli sihir dari Firaun.
God's power was greater,
Kuasa Tuhan lebih besar,
but people only knew that after God's agent confronted the agents of the devil.
tapi orang-orang baru tahu itu sesudah kuasa Tuhan berkonfrontasi dengan kuasa dari setan itu.
In 2 Thessalonians 2
Dari 2 Tesalonika 2,
and in Revelation 13,
Wahyu 13,
we read about demonic miracles.
Kita lihat ada mujizat yang dari setan.
I plan again to talk more about demons later,
Saya akan bicara tentang setan ini nanti.
but just to acknowledge that there's a range of superhuman activities that we call supernatural.
Ya, ada berbagai aktivitas supramanusiawi yang kita sebut sebagai supranatural.
Thank you, Professor Kinner. We give Professor Kinner a big round of applause.